Hi everybody, Brandon here with Evan from the peelblog.com, and we're here today to talk about Black Swan starring Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis along with Vincent Cassel. The basic premise of the movie covers a ballet, Swan Lake, in which point Natalie Portman is starred as the Swan Queen, and she has to be both a black swan and the white swan. And basically, you see some divergence between reality and what happens in her psyche as she really takes part in this ballet. So, what do you think of the movie, Evan?
Oh, it was fantastic. And like she said, what the choreographer, who is portrayed by Vincent Cassel, who is amazing, um, is there's a lot of duality, and that's in the play between the Black Swan and the White Swan, and then just throughout the film, whether it's with Natalie Portman and Milas Kunis, who Natalie Portman portrays Nina, the lead character for the film, and you're kind of following her path throughout the movie. The competition for the lead role between the two, or whether it's like you said with Nina and whatever she perceives as reality and what's not reality, and the director David Oronsky, and I believe I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. He
Close.
he just does a great job with the duality, and then toying with the viewer, with us. I mean, you don't know what's really reality or what's not reality, and he just kind of plays with you like a kitten plays with a ball of yarn, and it's, I mean, nerve wracking and intense, but I mean, fantastic that he's able to get these feelings. I mean, it's not necessarily a horror movie, but it has horror elements. It's definitely a thriller, and I mean, you have white knuckles throughout most of the film, I would say.
Now, Evan mentioned the duality of Natalie Portman herself, and he's talking about the fact that she's definitely dealing with some kind of psychosis throughout the movie. So there's a big divergence between what she thinks is real and what she's seeing and what might actually be happening in reality, which is where the viewer is left with that uncertainty of, well, did that actually happen or was it just in her head? Is a big part of it.
Oh yeah.
And I know that you had mentioned you saw some influence in color with the camera angles and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the director just does a great job with some of the subtleties, and I mean they may not be so subtle to you. One of the major elements is obviously mirrors. Almost every scene he's toying with various mirrors in the scene, whether it's, I mean, obviously at the ballet where there's just a huge glass mirror where you're looking at yourself performing, or whether it's in her house, you'll see some very interesting, like whether it's broken mirrors or full mirrors or whatever else that just make it very interesting. And not only that, her mother, Nina's mother, who is fantastic in it as well, you'll see that whenever she's at home, the mom's always wearing black, and Nina either wearing white or something light colored. So there you get the yin and yang, the black and the white, the duality once again, and just really cool subtle hints that I think really bring it together and make you wonder exactly what's going on.
Now, one of the parts of the movie that I'd actually find fault, not necessarily fault, but I think it was a movie that was, while it was incredible, both directed and acted and everything about it, I thought it was done fantastic. But I don't necessarily know if I'd ever want to see it again, just for the nature of the intensity. It's not something that I'd want to buy and watch at home again. Was there anything that you found fault with the movie?
Not necessarily. I wouldn't say it's a perfect movie. Personally, I think, I mean, we could go into the ending, but I don't want to spoil anything. But in regards to watching the movie again, it's something that I could definitely watch again. I think there's, like I said, the subtleties and the message of duality, at least for me, that's what I bring from watching the film. But there's just really cool, there's CGI throughout the film to deal with the psychosis and just these surreal moments, and like there's just cool little effects you'll notice here and there, especially with Nina through this transformation where part of it is she's great as the White Swan, but the
The white
black,
swan being perfect and pristine.
and she's perceived as a person as frigid, but she can't find her like darker, more loose, more free spirit side, which is the Black Swan. And throughout the movie, you'll see these like CGI hints of like goosebumps or like stuff growing on her skin and everything. That's just well done. And there's just so many things about it, and just the way that the director captures ballet and just the focus on feet and the brutality behind ballet. I mean, it's very elegant, but he really makes you see just the physicality that goes into it, and you
Yeah.
feel what the ballet performers are feeling. I mean, that's not something that's easy to do, and I mean, it just easily flows throughout the movie. And
Yeah.
so I mean, I think there's just so much in every shot and just so well crafted, and their performances. I mean, I could honestly talk about them on and on. We haven't talked about Vincent Cassell, and I don't think he's gotten enough credit in just some of the reviews and the media around as this choreographer who's known as a prick and anybody that's in charge of this, but he's also known as a womanizer and everything else. And we see these brief glimpses into different things, and I mean, he just takes control of that character, and there's so many nuances within him that make him fascinating.
Yeah. How would you rank Mila Kunis's interaction with the movie, or how would you put her as a character?
She does a really good job. I don't think she necessarily is playing something that's ridiculous, like out of character for her. I mean, she's kind
Mm-hmm.
of a free spirit, kind of goes you will. I mean, you could find similarities, honestly, between her character in this and Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
I thought of that too.
So it's not like she's definitely like breaking anything, but she does a great job and is definitely, like we've talked about the duality. She's the yang to Natalie Portman's yin. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
speaking of performances, Natalie Portman I thought was great. She's one of those stars that I think when you see her, you just think of her as Natalie Portman in most movies. And I mean, you really buy into her as this character. Like, you just see the pain and the her desire for perfection, and they call her frigid. I mean, just the her mannerisms on her face, how she portrays that to you. I mean, you're right there with her, and it's unbelievable. She does a fantastic job. I think there's
Yeah.
been Oscar buzz, and she's definitely, at least from what I've seen, she's worthy of it.
Absolutely. Now, what would you give the movie overall on our Peel scale?
I mean, I'd give it all the peels that it can get. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it comes pretty darn close to just a great movie. And I can't think of another movie that gives you the same sense of like thrill and intensity. And like I said, just the other nuances of the film. I don't think there's anything that really comes close to, at least throughout this past year. So, and by past year, I mean 2010 or 2011 now, but.
So you heard it from the peelblog.com. Black Swan gets 5 peels and is definitely worth a watch. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you soon.